Hey listeners! Welcome to the second episode of the Let's Think Green podcast. I'm your host Riya, and today I'm joined with our editor and producer, Pragya. Hey guys! As I'm sure many of you know, the fashion industry has a massive impact on the environment, which is why we at Let's Think Green have started a new series called Sustainable Fashion. Every now and then, we will look at the fashion industry through the lens of the environment, but we'll explore different topics. So today, we will be looking at our own closets and specifically fabrics. A lot goes into making a garment environmentally friendly. And one of the biggest things are the fabric that's used to make that garment. And that's what we'll be exploring today. Stay tuned! A quick disclosure before we begin. I'll be mentioning a couple of brands in this episode. By no means am I promoting these brands. I'm simply mentioning them for perspective or as an example. There are lots of fabrics that brands use when making clothing. The two most popular ones are synthetic fabrics and cotton. Polyester, which is a type of synthetic material, makes up 65% of all fabrics that are used globally. Cotton makes up 21%.
How come polyester makes up 65%? Isn't polyester just the sheer fabric which blouses are made out of?
Yeah, that's true. So the fabric that you associate with office wear is made out of polyester. But then polyester is also great at mimicking cotton. So you may have a few shirts that feel like cotton, but it's really polyester. And then outerwear is also made out of polyester. It may not be exclusively polyester, but that's because polyester is great at taking on certain characteristics such as water resistance. So it's in a lot of places. Even those like soft nitrous materials are oftentimes made out of polyester. Okay, so polyester is really popular. However, it's not the best fabric in terms of the environment. You may not know, but polyester is actually made out of crude oil, which is a type of fossil fuel. So already it's inherently not environmentally friendly, especially when considering the process that goes into extracting the crude oil, namely fracking, which is a discussion all of its own. And then the second thing is it's not biodegradable. So that means when the polyester garment breaks down in the landfill, it breaks down into microfibers or microplastic, which is what our previous episode was about. Plastic garments or polyester garments breaking down into microfibers is obviously not good for the environment, especially since it can contaminate the ocean, as we discussed in our previous episode. So it's like, okay, polyester isn't that great for the environment, then the thing that comes to mind is cotton. When I found out that polyester was actually plastic and not that good for the environment, I was like, okay, I'll just buy all cotton clothes. Well, cotton, although is a natural material, so it is inherently biodegradable, it still has a few limitations to it in terms of how it's produced. The two are that farmers use a lot of pesticides and chemicals to maximize yield and ensure quality. And that's problematic because a lot of times it'll run off into water sources and other water bodies, so it can pollute the area's drinking water. Cotton also requires a lot of water to grow. To grow one cotton t-shirt, about 2,400 liters of water is needed. That equates to 4 years of drinking water.
So you're telling me that cotton clothing itself isn't bad. It's just the process that it takes to grow that cotton isn't environmentally friendly.
Yes, that's true. However, a lot of organizations and scientists are doing research into how they can make the cotton growing process more environmentally friendly. Whether that means lessening the amount of chemicals used, substituting those chemicals with more environmentally friendly alternatives, finding ways to use less water when growing cotton. There's a lot of research going on, so I know in the future we will be seeing a more environmentally friendly grown cotton, which is good news.
But right now, cotton isn't being grown in a sustainable way. So, like, cotton clothing is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Polyester clothing is basically plastic, or it breaks down into plastic, which it breaks down into microplastic, which is terrible. So what are we supposed to do? Like, what clothing are we supposed to wear which is sustainable?
Doo-doo. If you're enjoying this episode, we would appreciate it if you would leave us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast. That way, you can help more environmentally conscious individuals find this podcast and listen. I have some exciting news. Our podcast is available on Apple Podcast. Just go on the Apple Podcast app, search up Let's Think Green, and it should pop right up. If you want to stay connected and see more environmental content, then follow us on Instagram at Let's Think Green Podcast. Doo-doo. Well, that's what's tricky about this issue, as is with any environmental issue. There isn't a clear-cut answer. There are some alternatives out there, such as recycled polyester. I'm not talking about plastic water bottles turned into clothing, but more so polyester clothing's recycled into new polyester clothing. So that's one alternative. And then there's also organically grown cotton, in which no synthetic fertilizers, herbicides, or pesticides are used. However, with both of those, they're not very prevalent in the market. So for now, what you can do is buying sustainably. Buy the clothes that you need, resist the allure of fast fashion. Also, focus on buying quality over quantity. The higher quality clothing you buy, the longer it will last you. If it's polyester, the less it will shed. And
Wait, what do you mean by if it's polyester, the less it will shed?
well, if it's a higher quality polyester, then the way it's made, like it'll just release less microfibers. Like when you throw a polyester garment in the wash, it's being washed with water at a high speed, meaning like microfibers will come off. I read that Plymouth University in the UK did a study, and they found that one polyester garment releases 900,000 particles of microfiber, which end up in the pipes and the waterways. But the higher the quality of the garment is, the less microfibers it will release.
So how do I know if like a polyester shirt is of high quality?
Well, it's just like you check any shirt. So you first want to check the inside seams to make sure that they're sewn on correctly. If you see a lot of loose threads, then you know that it wasn't sewn with the utmost quality. And then also just some stores hold higher quality clothing. By buying higher quality clothes, you'll need to buy less clothes, meaning you're throwing less clothes out.
And higher quality clothes last longer.
The final thing is buy from sustainable brands. Do research on the brands that you buy from so you know if sustainability is even on their minds and what steps they're taking to make their supply chain and production chain environmentally friendly. So there's a website that I found, Good On You Directory, which is a directory that I sometimes consult to know if a brand is sustainable and what steps they're taking to become sustainable. What's important is that you only buy clothes that you need, and the clothes that you do buy, you wear more than several times. And focus on quality over quantity. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode, Pragya.
You're welcome.
So that concludes our episode for today. I hope that you all enjoyed learning about your clothing, and I hope that you will join us next week when we talk about the night sky. See you all next week. Bye.